Hi friends, welcome to Play and Learn.
In our last video, we have gone through how the resume of a 3 to 4-year-old kid looks like. And we have clearly understood our children are natural learners. But what happens when they start their academic journey? Because when we observe our children, we will clearly understand when they start their school journey, their level of interest slowly declines. Their passion towards learning that also comes down. Why? Why does it happen? Mark Twain once said, "The only thing that interferes with my learning is my education." What? His education interfered him in his learning? So is education and learning not the same? No, it's totally different. Many think it's the same and we use most of the time in the same context. So let's see what or how education is different from learning.
Education is about imparting skills or knowledge mainly by others. What do you mean by imparting? Imparting means pass on the knowledge. In education, the teachers, the school, the education system, or even sometimes parents, they pass on the knowledge, right? Now, what we might ignore here is whether our child needs that particular knowledge. We are passing on because we know, but that doesn't mean that our child wants to know that particular thing. Or the main role is being played by others, that is, teachers, education system, schools, or at times parents. Now, is that wrong? I won't say it is wrong, but it becomes more of teacher-centered thing, right? We are not giving the choice to our students to choose what they want to learn. But when it comes to learning, learning is acquiring skills or knowledge by oneself. Now that is very important. The choice is in our students' hands, and obviously they will have more freedom to decide what they want to learn. Continuing with our first point, education is listening to others' experience. Now, is that bad? Definitely, it is good. But just imagine when you have to listen to others' experience, it's not necessary that you become active in the process. Most of the times, you become passive because you may not find yourself there. But when it comes to learning, learning is having on experience, or learning is incomplete without your own experience. Now, what happens when you have your own experience? Others' experience might be different from your own, and at the same time, you will be 100% active in the process. And when you are active, you're learning, you enjoy that part of learning that naturally happens. At times, education becomes too rigid and structured. Now, what happens when it becomes too rigid and structured? It ignores the natural ability of our child. Now, just imagine if we have a system and if we focus too much on the system, we will be just following the rules. The child should be present at this time, they should do this activity at this time. We have so many targets for them. Now, is that good? Definitely not, because there the focus will be completely on the system, and we are trying to put our child fit into that particular system, so the individuality literally loses away. But in learning is totally flexible and unstructured. Now, what is the advantage of that? See, we have learned things in that particular way. Every child learns to walk, speak, everything at different times. That is the beauty. We are born to learn at our own pace. So when we start focusing on the learning aspect, learning is actually giving attention to individual, not on the system. When we talk about education and learning, always remember we can't educate a child every time, but a child can learn at any time. In education, curriculum designs what the kids has to learn, but learning happens out of curiosity. Curiosity is something which you can't inject it from outside. Now the child needs to have that particular quality. In fact, they are born with that quality. Now, if you've observed, you have noticed many of our students choose science subject, but few become scientists. Now, what is the real problem? The real problem is that the curriculum might force, or the science subject might force them to take science, but that doesn't happen out of their curiosity to learn. Now, the fun of science lies in the discovery, in the process of discovery, not in the output that they get after, or not the knowledge that they are going to gain. Now, if a child is choosing science without having that curious element, obviously the child is not going to move further in that particular subject. You might get A plus, you might get 100 out of 100, but that doesn't mean that you are really enjoying the science subject. The focus should always be on creating that curiosity. Are we going to do that? The next difference, education prepares us to find more answers. Now, is finding answers not a good thing? Yes, it is good. But when you find the answer, what is next? Probably the role of a student is limited when an answer is already existing, right? But in learning, prepares, a student is getting prepared to ask more questions. Now that is very important. When you have to ask a question, you have to literally think a lot. And that is why learning is always good. But it is time for us to recheck whether we are forcing our students to find answers, or whether we are equipping them to ask more questions. Asking questions is always the big challenge. The big difference that we can find in learning and education is who actually holds the responsibility. Now, I have seen many parents telling me this, right? My child's education is my responsibility. And I want to tell them, no, it should not be. Give the responsibility of your child's education to your own child, because when they have responsibility, they will learn how to maintain that responsibility throughout their life. Now that is very important aspect. Now, I have seen many schools giving advertisements like, okay, give me a product. It's like mostly give me a product or give me a raw material. We are going to change it into a finished product. Let me tell you, in education, if our purpose is to convert a raw material to a finished product, once we get the finished product, what is more for that product to happen? Nothing. That means we are in fact telling that, okay, after education, you're perfect. No, that is the biggest lie. But when we talk about learning, learning is never becoming a finished product. Learning is always evolving. You will never become a finished product when you're learning, right? And the responsibility of learning purely lies in the shoulders of learners. They are in control of their life. Now you have to decide whether you have to take control of your child's life, or you have to give them or equip them to control their life in the best way. Another important difference is education. It search and categorize people to identify what makes them common or what makes them similar. They will conduct same test, they will give same homeworks, and they will try to evaluate everybody in the same way. And we believe that is the right thing to do, but that is not. Learning is actually identifying the differences and nurturing it in the right way. These differences can definitely go on. Now, am I against education? Definitely not. I am for education. But one thing we have to understand, education is just a small part within the big process of learning. And our prime focus should be to ensure that our children will never miss the learning mindset that they are naturally born with. Life and learning matches more better than life and education. Malcolm Knowles once said, it's a tragic fact that most of us know only how to be taught. Seriously, it needs to change, right? Sitting in the classroom, listening to long lectures, I'm sure that it won't guarantee that we are learning. And if we know that we are not learning, then obviously we will not be able to find value within ourselves. The best way we can progress is by finding the value. And how can we find the value? That is when we take control of what we are learning. Let's bring the value to our life. I hope you got some clarity in learning and education. If you find this video useful, please do like, share, and subscribe so that you will start getting more videos from this channel. Thanks for watching this video and wishing you all the very best. See you soon with more exciting videos. Thank you. Bye bye.